intros. So, hey everyone who's just joining this session. Welcome to our next panel in Fiverr's The Shift conference. This one is called Marketing Your Brand Online. My name is Adam Winograd, and I'm a senior brand marketing manager here at Fiverr, and I'm based out of New York City. You can see I'm in my bedroom, not the office, like all of us right now. I've been with Fiverr 3 years. Actually, this week is my 3-year anniversary, and I was actually at a startup that Fiverr acquired. And at Fiverr, I'm really focused on all our brand efforts. So that includes case studies, product videos, social media content, and brand partnerships. So what is this session about? Hopefully I want it to be a high-level conversation on how brands and businesses of all sizes can manage their digital presence and effectively market online. So some of the topics we'll be touching on are changing social media platforms and trends, how to stand out in a chaotic and crowded online environment, and for brands and entrepreneurs starting out, because we know a lot of people on Fiverr are small business, what are the best places to start your marketing efforts? So with that, I'd love to just do a quick round of introductions before we dive into our first kind of topic bucket. So Carlos, why don't we start with you?
All right, hi guys. I don't know what happened to my camera here. Hello, my name is Carlos Vasquez, and I'm the creator of Miami Marketer, and I'm a digital marketing geek that I love to play with marketing automation and find different ways to connect people.
And you've been a seller on Fiverr for how long?
I started on Fiverr officially as a Fiverr Pro in 2017, and but I've been using Fiverr since 2014.
Thanks, Emily.
I'm gonna try to figure out my camera here.
It seems to be going in and out, but we can hear you.
Yep.
All right, good to go.
I'm Emily. I'm based in Brooklyn, New York. I have a newsletter about consumer brands called Chips and Dips, and I also work as the marketing manager at a mental health care startup in New York called Alma.
Great, and for everyone in the chat, you have to subscribe to her newsletter. It's amazing. Chips and Dips. Every time I read it, I have 50 new tabs in my Chrome browser. Cool, interesting stuff to check out. Okay,
well, Chips and Dip is one of my favorite snacks, actually, so I'm going to check it out.
You have to. Hey, Junte, do you want to give a...
Yeah, I'll go. Hey everyone, Junte Delane here. Excited to be with you. I am the founder and CEO of Digital Delane. We are a full service digital agency. We help clients with go-to-market strategy, executing on those strategies through paid media, social, search, influencer marketing, and analytics. I also am the founder of Digital Branding Institute, where I write all things about digital branding. So I'm really, really looking forward to having this conversation today.
And where are you based out of?
I am based in sunny Los Angeles.
Great. Cool. So to start us off, we're going to talk about finding your audience. So really just at a high level, if you are a small or even medium-sized business, where do you start? How do you define your audience from a digital perspective? And I thought we'd start with Carlos, since you have a lot of hands-on practical experience as a seller on Fiverr.
All right, well, I mean, it really comes down to, for me personally, I like to figure out what it is that I like to do, what I'm comfortable working with. So that way, that helps me figure out which direction to go. And then when I decide, then I start utilizing tools like, for example, like Facebook Audience Insights tool. And the Facebook Audience Insights tool, if you go to business.facebook.com, what that does, it allows you to go ahead and kind of just get an idea for a specific interest, and you start narrowing down to target age groups, Facebook pages, what other pages they're liking. And that's how I start trying to uncover where my target audience may be. So I go through a cycle, like a little process like that. And then I use tools like the Facebook Audience Insights tool to help me determine if there is a wide enough audience to actually work with. Because if there's not, because there's some really, really tight niches, but if they're big enough, then they're easy to work with. But they're too small, then it's not really worth it sometimes, because you're starting basically from the beginning, or that market is not as popular as you may think it is. So that's how I start.
Got it. Junte, anything to add there?
Yeah, I mean, I guess on the other side of the coin, there would be just kind of starting off with your why, right? I mean, why are you even doing this? Why are you in business? And then begin to go after some of your target audience members there. Carlos had some great tools and tactics and tricks to get you closer to that point. But I like to first start off with, why are you here? Because everything derives from that. I think nowadays consumers are very savvy, so they can start to sniff out if you're authentic with your communications, some of your engagements and so on. So just think about that and then move forward from there.
Yeah, and to that point, Emily, you're running this newsletter and you're constantly looking at what other brands are doing. How do you create trust and build authentic relations with your customers, or how can brands do that?
I think a lot of it comes down to humility, recognizing that everything is kind of always in evolution and always changing, and kind of owning up from the start, like, this isn't going to be perfect. Give me your feedback and I'll take that and then make things better based on that. So listening, I think, goes a long way.
Can you give me an example of like where you think a brand has shown humility, or they made a mistake and kind of benefited from that?
I think the kind of pops into my head immediately. Glossier, which is a skincare company, a couple of years ago when they launched their mascara, they labeled it as on their website, and it was made with beeswax. And that vegan label was up there for long enough for thousands of customers to purchase this product that they thought was vegan. And Glossier went ahead and preemptively refunded all orders that included that product, created their website, and sent an email to their entire audience saying, like, hey, we made this mistake, we've changed it, let us know if you have any questions.
Mm-hmm. So it's not, you're allowed to make mistakes, it's just about kind of the accountability and correcting for it.
Yeah, and I think holding yourself accountable and admitting that you've made mistakes goes a really long way, and will build stronger relationships with customers rather than pretending that something never happened.
Yeah. Accountability is so key, right? I mean, we're in the midst of this brands being accountable, not even brands, but also, government organizations and municipalities, right? I mean, we're going through some tough times here in the US through, racial inequality, systemic racism, things like that. So you have brands that are really having to choose a side, right? And that goes with the accountability that every brand must take in today's market, because consumers want to do business and want to patronize brands that either are aligned with some of their views or acknowledge the issues and the challenges that their target audience are having, right? And so that's spot on. I mean, we see it now every single day. It's like almost, the commercials that you see on TV now have to do with like online conversations, right, via Zoom and other platforms. It has to do with some type of trend or movement that's going on, either politically or any racial inequalities, things like that. People are looking for brands to say something, and if you say nothing, right, then it's like you're saying something anyway, right? And so that's critically important. And the bottom line here when it comes to accountability is that people would almost forgive the crime, but they will not forgive the cover up, right? And that's very important to consider, especially if you run a brand or if you're part of a brand and there's some type of mishap. You got to face up. You got to say something. You got to admit your mistake and communicate how you're making corrective actions.
Yeah, and I think here we're talking about kind of two different levels of scale, right? Like if you're a huge brand, like let's say Nike, and you have nothing to say about Black Lives Matter, that's a huge problem because you know that many of the athletes who are sponsored by Nike are African American, or you represent in some way that community. But then if we're also talking about very small businesses, I think that's, I'm not sure that every small business has something to say about every social issue, but I think to Emily's earlier point, it's about kind of co-creating your small business from the beginning with the initial customers that you have. If you've made mistakes in the beginning, apologize, let in your early customers on product feedback and iteration and things like that. So I think it's kind of like just trying to think of the Fiverr customer who tends to be smaller. And then also it's interesting to talk about larger brands.
Yep.
How about, I think everyone is like obsessed with content now. We always say content is king, but at the same time, like I think measurement is also really kind of a tricky issue. And, you can buy likes, you can buy fake engagement. What are kind of some basic metrics we can look at? And Carlos, let's go back to you to start, because I know you're very focused on kind of the technical digital marketing. Like, what are the baseline metrics to look at when we're talking about online marketing?
All right. Well, there's whenever I work with someone, there's usually some people that confuse the fact that they have a bunch of likes if they're considered successful or whatever. The only business or the only type of person that I've ever seen that these type of likes matter are either influencers or some type of like celebrity, because they have to sell themselves to some type of sponsor, and the sponsor determines if they're actually worth the money, if they have the followers, if they have the following. As a matter of fact, Cameo is a website where if you want to be able to sell on that platform, you have to prove that you have a following. But at the end of the day,
by the way, I love Cameo. It's another great startup to plug.
Yeah, Cameo is amazing. By the way, I gave my wife the whole cast of Too Hot to Handle. I got them all to say happy birthday and happy Mother's Day because it was all the same day. And she was like, "Oh my God, how'd you do that?" And I'm like, I got my magic. It was just Cameo. So, anyways, it was an amazing gift for her. She'll never forget it. And neither will my friends. So those type of industries, they care about the following. But when I was working in radio, the small business really at the end can't pay the bills with follows, with likes, with anything like that. You could get all of these likes, however, or you could get a bunch of people visiting your page, but what do they pay the bills with? Money. So if it doesn't translate into actual sales or cash flow, then it doesn't really matter. So I always tell people whenever I work with them, look, let's say your Facebook page has no likes, it has nothing. Listen, you can pay for ads and drive traffic. And if you're using the right type of ads, for example, if you're using something like a conversion campaign basically means, hey, Facebook, find me people who are likely to give me money. So when you spend money on that type of ad, that is going to be much more profitable and more effective than trying to get a bunch of likes or just boosting a post just because you want to get people to see it. So The metrics that I focus on more is like, okay, how many people got to the page? How many people completed the objective? And at the end of the day, how much ROI did we get from the actual post? And we can do that with a page with just 10 likes. It doesn't really matter how much engagement or interaction. So that's what I really like to focus on more. And it kind of takes the pressure off of having to be like, oh my God, I only got 1 like or 2 likes or 10 followers. No, hey, look, you got 10 leads, and of those 10 leads, 1 convert into a sale. Now the money you spent is now covered because we could do it again and again and again. And that's how you grow your business.
Great. Emily or Junte, anything to add there on the topic of metrics or measuring success of your marketing tactics?
Yeah, I think it's important to recognize that there are different metrics tell you different things. So on Instagram, for example, yes, likes matter. The more likes you have, the more likely it is that other people will see that post. That's how the algorithm works. But from a kind of quality standpoint, looking at the number of shares or saves for a post can sometimes tell you more, because that is a kind of direct measure of kind of how much do people actually like what they're seeing? And do they care enough to send it to a friend, to share it with a friend, and potentially contribute to organic growth in that way. And I think, yeah, I kind of different metrics of success. There is like conversion focused content, and then sometimes there's just brand building content that's more about awareness.
Right. I think that's a great point. Like, you may have 50 likes, but if someone shared it 100 times, or if the post has been shared 100 times, that's much more valuable than the number of likes.
For sure. Yeah, I would say that many people may focus on, again, those vanity metrics. Emily, Carlos has spoke to this, but I think it's important to focus on, one, consider the algorithm, right? Because that definitely has a play into, the type of conversions or even engagements that you get, and knowing that if you want to get more of any of the above, right? In particular on social media, you have to pay to play. You have to put some amplification behind successful content, right? And then two, when you are doing things such as, doing an audit for some of the content, whether it be blog posts or something like that you're writing, focus on the conversions over the vanity metrics such as likes, views, so on and so forth, because you just never know how one piece of content that has received a bunch of likes and a bunch of views and may not perform as well as a piece of content or a post that only had maybe 10, but it actually converted 2 or 3, as an example. So really dig down deep into the metrics and try to not put so much weight on the vanity of those metrics, but mostly focus on, again, the conversions, as Carlos and Emily mentioned.
Can I add one more thing, Adam? And this is like it supports every. The only one of the engagement that I really, really do love is, and I know this very well with Facebook, and I'm sure you can do it with YouTube and other video sites, but that's when you upload some type of video. If you're going to create content, if you upload a video on like a Facebook page, Facebook gives us this superpower to be able to figure out who's watched 50%, 75%, 95% or more of that video. So what that does for us, it lets us know, man, if we created a 5-minute video or a 3-minute video or a 20-minute video, if you're watching 75% or more, you can't fake that engagement. People let that load and watch it till the end. So that's another metric that I don't think you can fake, which would be very valuable. And then to me, I would retarget those people to take that next step or to convert them into something else. So that's another, that's more powerful. If it's not going to be a conversion, in a way, it kind of is, because someone that is actually watching that video.
A 5-minute video. Yeah.
Yeah. That's with our goldfish attention spans, to let that video load and pay attention to it, there's no question that there's some high level of interest in that engagement level. So that's another one that I would add on.
That's a great point. And for anyone watching, the next panel after this is all about how to make impactful online videos. So that's a little teaser. So on the topic of kind of social media platforms, I think one of the bigger developments of the past year, and especially during quarantine, was like TikTok blowing up. So I'm just curious from your guys' perspectives, like where do you see TikTok going in terms of like the way brands are using it versus just like organic usage? And how do you think small businesses can play on TikTok, or is that kind of just a larger brand play at this point?
I can go. Ladies first. Emily, you want to take it?
No, I don't have any experience marketing on TikTok. I've kind of looked at what some brands are doing. I know like Vineyard Vines was really early on it, and there's some Gen Z oriented skincare companies that are also kind of using it, gaining traction, actually kind of like developing the packaging of their products such that it is kind of made for TikTok. I know, like a foaming face wash that you can make a TikTok with. I think my thought about TikTok and really any social platform is that if you're a brand and you're going to try to engage on it, there needs to be a reason for it, and there needs to be like a thoughtful strategy. I'm not someone who's kind of for joining a platform and engaging with it just to say that you're on it.
Right.
I think to get the most out of it, there needs to be a reason for being there in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of brands that may just jump on the bandwagon, and we need to be there because the kids are there, but maybe it's not right for their brand, or they can produce something that's relevant to their brand. Any other thoughts on TikTok?
I'm going to let Carlos go because I have a complete contrarian type of view about TikTok. And so, yeah, I'll go last on that one.
Okay.
All right. So here's what I've learned, and I mean, we've all seen so many different things. I think TikTok is the new Vine, in my opinion, but there's more time now. There's actually a lot more stuff. So here's what I've learned about TikTok, because I do my best to kind of just scroll and just watch what people are doing. And what I've picked up on TikTok is it's a way, if you're authentic enough and you're trying to do, it's like you're like my dad trying to do things that the kids are trying to do. So this is like a way to be humble and get that humility out there to kind of just let people let them know that you are putting yourself out there to have fun as well. So if you are trying to build your brand as someone that's being authentic and genuine and trying things out, hey, you're not good at the dances. Hey, look, I'm trying to do this dance, all right? Or here's a trick that I saw, or here's the thing. If you're constantly trying to share something and keep up with the conversation and keep up with the trends, people will appreciate you more. And that's what TikTok has that's what I've seen TikTok has been. Are you going to join with us and have fun with us, or are you going to continue criticizing us and not participate? And then that's how I've seen the reactions to it. Like I've seen kids like lip sync stuff, and it's if I remember when I was first starting on Facebook, I ain't got time for Facebook. I got too many things to do for Facebook. I'm too busy for Facebook. And now look, Facebook is like one of the premier B2B tools out there. Same thing with Twitter. What's a tweet? Now it's literally like how you get government information. So it's like, it's always going to start off with the misunderstanding, and then it evolves to something else. And it's becoming a tool that I've realized that people are just trying to be genuine and trying to have fun and try to show a different side, but still remind people that, hey, I'm still here and I'm just following you where you like to be. So that's what I've seen TikTok to be from my perspective. Now I suck. I'm terrible at it, but I try. My kids like it, and it is what it is. So I'm not that great. I'm a lot better with Facebook.
I think that's a great point. There's a definite kind of maturation cycle of all these platforms where we initially don't take them so seriously, or we think that they're only for a certain age group, and then they come to be the next huge giant. So I think it's really important to keep an eye on it. And also, you've already seen kind of like new cohorts coming onto TikTok, because if you've watched it, you see these videos of when millennials join TikTok, and the younger generation is Gen Z is making fun of millennials, and then I'm sure next our parents are going to come aboard. So that's a great point.
That's the new boomer.
Exactly.
Yeah, my thoughts on TikTok. I think for one, it is another platform that is forcing us as somewhat disruptive in the type of content that we're able to create. And it forces brands to think about, hey, this is the elephant in the room. This is the major network that we have to pay attention to. We don't necessarily know how we're going to approach it, but we know it should be in the conversation. And so I think, again, it's stretching people to make more authentic type of content and kind of loosen up in a little bit and show some more personality. And it kind of goes with the old adage, people like to do business with people, right? They know, like, and trust, right? So that's TikTok can kind of sort of give a window to your personality and things like that. So I like TikTok for those purposes and attributes. However, I do think that TikTok is not going to be around for very long. And here's why I say that. Here's why I say this, because for one, I know we may have some viewers right now from India, and TikTok is banned in India, right? Also, you have, and I don't want to put conspiracy theories out there, but there is the Chinese government has really dealt with trying to infiltrate the US and get a lot of data and privacy and so on and so forth. So because they are a Chinese company, some of the privacy policies are a little a little off, right? So that's one of the reasons why they were banned in India, and now there's talks of TikTok being banned in the US. I logged onto TikTok the other day, and I don't think you can even log on via social sign-on anymore. So what does that mean? That means that their API restrictions were cut from most of the major social networks. So it kind of leaves them out there as sitting ducks. And because many consumers are very concerned now about their privacy, there's going to be some issues and backlash there. So I think that there's going to be a vacuum where another app is going to come and probably fill in that place. So that's just my prediction. This is recorded, in about 5 years. I want Fiverr to replay this.
I was there when you said
that's my prediction. So in terms of, to answer your question specifically, in terms of, using TikTok for your business, I absolutely think that it is a market where everyone is there. And people like to do business with people. So go ahead and showcase your personality on TikTok in different ways. And I'm sure you're going to get rewarded for doing so. So that's my thoughts there.
Interesting take. And it is interesting that they've hired an American CEO to kind of away from Disney to kind of combat all these, the Chinese issues and things like that. So it will be super interesting. But I think the broader point we're all making is the other macro trend I see across social is a move away from like super perfect curated images and, presenting kind of a false narrative of what your life is. And TikTok allows you to be yourself, to make mistakes, to show a more authentic version of yourself. And I think that trickles down to the other platforms as well. The other big trend I wanted to ask about and see what you thought was Facebook and Instagram shop. So, now they're making a big move into e-commerce. It was already there, but they're making kind of, I think, a big push for that. What do you think of Facebook and Instagram shop, and is that a viable e-commerce alternative to Shopify or having your own website or things like that?
I think it only makes sense, right? I mean, we know that in Instagram in particular, and that's really where fashion and beauty lives, right? And so as you scroll through your timeline, you could find something you want to purchase and then immediately check out. So it meets that objective. And if you are a small business who may not have an e-commerce platform on Shopify or WordPress website with WooCommerce or something like that, it'll allow you to immediately sell things, obviously on Instagram, and it can provide create more opportunities for individuals and smaller businesses. So I think because of the platform, how large the platform is, how many users they have on it, that if you are selling any type of e-commerce product, you should take this very seriously.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with you, Tate, because it's kind of like the Cash App card or even PayPal right before. People were very, very hesitant to put their debit card or credit card or bank account information in PayPal. And then Cash App made it easy for people to have access to their funds, and it could be immediate, almost instantly. And Facebook has now opened up the doors to basically do exactly the same thing. So it's now that most of the people, there's over 2-3 billion accounts, Facebook accounts worldwide. It's easy to conduct so many transactions, whether it's a personal communication. I know when I buy something from PayPal, I get a messenger message from Facebook letting them know what's going on. So Facebook and Instagram is the same, because the same company, they're kind of just connecting everything together. And I feel like it's only a matter of time, because people don't trust it yet, because they're still, PayPal took a while for it to grow, to get to where it's at right now. Cash App, the same thing. So it's going to, I feel like it's really going to go in that direction where people are going to really accept making purchases using Facebook. So the shop, you will be able to do that as, with your account. It's safe. It really is safe. I know that when I log in with the desktop, I get a notification on my phone. Hey, it was this really you? So there's people are now learning to trust it. And I think it's only a matter of time till people start accepting doing business on Facebook as well.
Yeah.
Emily, Junte, go ahead.
I was going to say, just to add on to that, when you think about the amount of friction that it takes, that is caused when consumers see your content or your ad and then click through to purchase, right? This sort of alleviates some of that friction. So if it takes, 3 or more clicks, right, then your conversion rates are going to decrease, right? But if you're able to have someone see your ad, 1 click and then purchase, it could actually increase your conversion rates. But then again, you also have to consider the adoption rates, right, as Carlos alluded to. So it's a nice balance, but I think overall it's something that, again, if you are selling an e-commerce product, you definitely want to consider.
I'm sorry, Emily, I'm so sorry. But look, Facebook has this thing called Facebook lead ads. And that's basically where the form where you would type in your name and email address is actually inside of the platform. So by default, Facebook, when you click on an ad that shows you that, it'll automatically grab your name, grab your email address. And now when you create a lead ad, you can generate like a ton of leads with this. Wait till it becomes a purchase portion where it's actually inside the platform. I think it's going to be basically the same thing with the purchase. Spot on. Yep.
Yeah, I think to that point, from like a kind of data collection standpoint, like Facebook and Instagram have really, really powerful ad targeting. And with the kind of like shop platform, it kind of just like condenses the funnel in a way that allows brands to kind of learn a lot more. I think for a lot of companies, Facebook and Instagram shops won't be their like primary channel. I think it's a really good secondary platform. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we know that in China, social commerce platforms are huge. And there are a lot of people trying to figure out what will social commerce look like in the US. And no one's kind of quite cracked it. I think there are a lot of people trying, but Instagram and Facebook, which already have audiences, introducing shopping functionalities, kind of taps into that and lays the foundation for what could be really, really powerful.
So if you're a small brand, let's say a small lifestyle product, and you're about to launch, do you think you still need a fancy Squarespace template with Shopify, or do you think you could launch on Facebook Shop?
I think you still need your own website and your own platform, because Facebook and Instagram only allow you to tell so much of your story. If you're a brand that's launching online right now, you really want to own your own narrative. And the best way to do that is by having your own website and platform and giving people multiple means of accessing your product is really important, but having a dedicated kind of like digital flagship, so to speak, is really important.
It's a great point.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think it's very important for you to establish your own brand, right? So don't think that just because Instagram and Facebook has this new tool that you can create a product and put it on there and see some sustainability. You need to create your brand, because I've worked with many clients who have went all in on certain platforms such as like Amazon, right? But then for whatever reason, their Amazon account was suspended. Now they're coming to me like, we need to build a brand. We need to, I went from, 300,000 a month in revenue to zero. What do I need to do? And so I would say that when you consider these Facebook and Instagram shopping ads, you definitely want to include it, but you also want to include your own brand, your own website, and so on, because there actually is other ways that residual benefits that you would have by doing so, right? When it comes to targeting, if you want to target people who've gone to your website, you can't or have gone to and seen your Instagram or Facebook shopping ads, you can't retarget those individuals on Google, for example. But your website would be a hub which you can connect anyone that goes to your website and have remarketing across platforms. So you always want to make sure that you build your own brand, but also make sure you leverage any of the native functions in all of these other platforms.
Yeah, I think the broader point is don't put all your eggs in one basket. Ever, no matter what new feature or platform it is.
There's nothing I could say. I can't add on anything. I mean, it's kind of like marketing. If email marketing is the only way you're going to generate awareness what happens when your email gets blacklisted? You know what I mean? That's it. Now you've lost that channel. Just like you said, Adam, don't put your eggs in one basket. Try to see how you can include it. It's kind of like an octopus. All the tentacles are meant to feed the mouth, and let your website be the actual brain, the mouth of your entire operation, and just use these tentacles to keep trying to generate those sales. So I fourth everybody here.
Great.
Yeah.
I just want to be mindful of the time because we only have about 5 minutes, and I wanted to just, of course, touch briefly upon the reason that we're having this virtually and not in person is obviously we're in the middle of a pandemic and everything has quickly shifted from offline in person to completely digital. So I'm just curious on a kind of macro level, how has your approach to marketing changed since COVID-19? And Emily, let's start with you.
I think now more than ever before, it's important to really see people as humans and incorporate empathy into, yes, marketing, but also everything else that you're doing. I think for a lot of people right now, like they have no appetite to consume products, like to buy things. Like no one wants to buy things right now. Like it in so many ways feels like the world is falling apart. And so for a brand, this is a really important time to kind of firm up your brand marketing and your storytelling and find ways to engage with consumers outside of just selling them a product. And I think that's the reason why when kind of I'm in New York, so we shut down in kind of the second half of March. There were so many like Instagram Live interviews and Zoom chats, and like everyone's just trying to find ways to engage with people outside of their product. And I think we've hit some Zoom fatigue by this point, but it's really important to kind of strengthen the core brand proposition and stick with that and recognize that this is a long game. And if you can have a strong brand and have people kind of become loyal to you now, they're going to be loyal to you forever.
Great point. And to your point of being more human, right on cue, Carlos's cat came into the background and showed that we're really all in our homes and all in this together. So Junte or Carlos, anything to add there on COVID marketing and COVID-19 times?
Yeah, I think that the pandemic has changed the way that I think a lot of brands are doing digital, right? In the terms of mindset, right? And individuals, right? So when you think about, okay, who am I going to target, right? You may say that the people who are more digital savvy are going to be a part of a certain age group. But we also know that, our grandparents and all the other elders, they now know what Zoom is, what that Zoom thing is, right? And so they're now able to really utilize technology more so than ever before. So what does that mean as a person who's trying to reach those individuals? Well, it means that you certainly would need to go all in on digital if you haven't quite wrapped your finger around how you can do it. Because now it's really the only way that you're able to connect with your target audience. And I'm not being facetious here. That's really the only way you're able to connect, right? Because of the pandemic. So start to take digital seriously, start to, consume information from, events like this. Fiverr, you guys put on a great event with all great panelists and sessions, but continue to learn more about it and start being a practitioner and going out there and trying to crush it. So yeah, that's what I would say the pandemic has done to marketing and how it's kind of shaped how we connect with our audience. Great.
Carlos, any last words on marketing post-COVID or in the US during COVID?
Luckily for me, most of my business has always primarily been online. And I've been trying to find different ways to kind of just bring a lot of businesses that were so stubborn with trying to evolve and accept that, hey, digital is like not one of those things that's just going to go away. It's going to be here for a long time. And I've always met the friction of, oh, I'm the type of person, I need to be face to face with people. I need to shake your hand. I need to do this. I need to do that. And now they had to accept that they can't do that anymore, or their business is going to drop. So what that has taught me, if I can pass, I don't want to say I told you so, but I felt like I was there. I was like, hey, you got to open up the door. But what I've learned in this time, in this space, is that I accepted that I want to be a rapid tester. I want to test different things to see what kind of an impact it has and if it can help my business. And that's been part of my model ever since. And if you can open up the idea to test different things out to see how it can complement your business, I think that you're going to have an advantage over your competitors, because they're always, a lot of them like to stick, and we've been doing it this way for years. We're going to stick doing it this way for years, and there's no need to change it until literally a pandemic has to hit. And I don't want to wait till that pandemic to hit. So that's what I would say. Be open to testing new things, try it out, and be authentic. Hey, we're trying something new, and we want to invite you to try it with us. And you're going to have people that says, you know what? Let me try it. Let me see what this is all about. And you're going to see, you might open up a new channel. And that's like this hopping platform. Like Emily said, people are zoomed out. What are they craving? Interaction. How do you do that without being face to face? Well, you got speed networking. You got these type of events. So it had Fiverr, like Fiverr, you guys you're leading the example. You guys try something out. Let's see how it works. And you literally put this massive event together with no idea what was going to happen. And I think this is going to be the new accepted way to do virtual events.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, they were in a great new era of experimentation. And I think that's kind of the silver lining, is you just have to adapt quickly and see what works. And that's, the good thing about all of this. But with that, I have to jump to another panel, but I want to thank all of you. Like I said, I highly suggest you subscribe to Emily's newsletter, check out Carlos on Fiverr at Miami Marketer. Junte, where can we find you online?
You can find me online at digitaldelaine.com, or just type in Junte Delaine on any social platform and you'll be able to connect.
Great. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks,
guys. Bye.
Bye.